I have just got to give an update to the wackiest trial that's ever been broadcast. It finally concluded, and goodness gracious, geez Louise, I tell ya, what an adventure. Since the invention of video technology, we've been building up to a moment like this. This is why video exists. To capture this public trial, Gwyneth Paltrow versus Terry Sanderson. It's a legal battle where Terry Sanderson insists that Gwyneth Paltrow hit him on a skiing slope 7 years ago, and it left him, debilitatingly injured, like a brain injury, turned him into a shut-in, this and that, and he was looking for $3 million in damages, which got thrown out pretty quickly. They wiped their ass with that whole case, saying that, this wasn't a hit and run, but then he came back for round 2 looking for the sloppy seconds and came after her again, this time for $300,000 in damages, and this time it made it all the way to court, and thank God for that because we got to watch it live. In response, Gwyneth Paltrow was countersuing for $1. A single dollar. Like Mr. Krabs with me millionth dollar. She was coming after him for a single buck. One clam. Though I do think he'd also be responsible for covering her attorney fees. So realistically, it's more than $1, but the damages she was pursuing was one single dollar. The verdict is in. I don't want to spoil anything from this anime, but I would like to show you a couple Terry Sanderson best of moments real quick, just to give you like a brief appetizer to wet your whistle on just how crazy this trial was.
Do you recall saying that you agreed that saying I'm famous was a crazy thing to say? Agree?
Absolutely, it's not me. I don't buy into that.
But it was you, right? Just to be clear. When you say it wasn't me, it was in fact you.
It's the other personality that's inhabiting my body right now.
And you blame Gwyneth Paltrow for that?
Yes. No question.
This case now turned into a demonic possession type deal going on right now. Terry's got spirits inside of his body that sometimes take control of it, I guess. Because it wasn't him that sent that email about, I'm famous. It was a different personality living with inside Terry right there, working him like a fucking puppet, I guess. Terry does deliver some very important entertainment to the trial. However, the real stars of the show are undoubtedly the lawyers for Paltrow and for Terry. I'm convinced that this had to be some kind of social experiment conducted by the Impractical Jokers, and they were using actors for these lawyer roles because, Jesus Christ, I really felt like they were just feeding them these questions. The lawyer for Terry, she was pretty much a huge Gwyneth Paltrow fan and was just asking softball questions and conversation starters, literal small talk that you'd see from like Ask Reddit advice on how to talk to like your celebrity crush. And then the lawyer for Gwyneth Paltrow, that man you saw at the end of the clip, that guy I'm pretty sure didn't even know where he was half the time. It was a complete circus. But I want to focus mainly just on Terry, and you'll see why in a little bit.
This is obviously an issue that someone needs to be accountable for. And if they're never accountable, what are they going to do? They're going to do it again. Now we have the molesting of young children on an island.
Your Honor,
denial.
This is ridiculous testimony. He's talking about...
Sustained as to relevance, the last part, the jury should disregard.
This is really Terry's most iconic moment here, referencing Epstein's Island and putting himself as like the hero that could stop all of this if he only wins the lawsuit against Gwyneth Paltrow, basically. He hypes himself up like the fucking Batman who's standing up to her to put a kibosh on her hitting people on the slopes, as well as like, not letting it spiral out of control where kids start getting molested on an island. Now, like I said, I would wager a guess Gwyneth Paltrow has probably flown on Epstein's airline. Half of Hollywood has. Bunch of fucking evil weirdos out there. But it also has no relevance to the case at all in a fucking skiing accident and figuring out who was at fault. Now, I mentioned at the beginning Terry was claiming he suffered huge injuries from this thing. Traumatic injuries, debilitating stuff that, made him a shut-in because he was afraid to go outside now after experiencing such pain. Well, that got called into question in a big way. I'll just give you a little montage of all of the pictures that Terry took over the last few years since the incident of him traveling the world and doing pretty intense things like fucking parasailing. So they start poking holes in that claim of, you were so injured that it turned you into a shut-in, yet literally, not even a full year later, you're already back skiing, you're parasailing, you're riding mopeds, you're going fucking hog wild.
After the collision... up in the ski resorts, or what is this?
About a year later. I think I was just walking up in the hills above my house.
Okay, page 63. Is this you skiing after the collision? Is this you on a camel?
It is.
What country?
It's Morocco, because the Kia had Morocco heritage.
Let's go to 84. Is that you in front of something cool?
Yes, one of millions of temples in Thailand.
Is that you?
It is, yes.
Poster boy for fitness at age 75. Would you agree? Driving range, right?
Yes.
80. Is this you? Are you in this river cruise, river boat?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Page 81. Did someone you were with or you go parish sailing?
This was in Switzerland.
It seems Terry has traveled more than Jackie Chan did in Around the World in 80 Days. Terry has been everywhere and done everything, fucking parasailing. You know, all of that's super cool, but you have to keep in mind, this was post, Armageddon here, where he claimed that ski accident with Gwyneth Paltrow was debilitating, changed his whole life, turned him into a shut-in, left him with permanent injuries, and yet he was still super active doing, physically demanding things, like going skiing again not long after the collision, fucking parasailing. That's a little interesting. So they kind of grilled Terry, and I want to make it clear, it's not like Gwyneth Paltrow did an amazing job either. It's not like her team was like fucking crack shot ace detectives, and it's not like she looked like some kind of genius saint up there or anything. But surprisingly, she looked sane in comparison to the rest of the circus around her, which is crazy because she fucking founded Goop, which is literally one of the stupidest goddamn things on the planet. I will still never get over her, this smells like my vagina candle scam. Very fraudulent, bad business practice there, because that smelt nothing like pussy. And certainly not hers. Absolutely not. But again, she wasn't amazing, but compared to the rest, she did enough. I'll go ahead and show you the verdict now.
Paltrow at fault? No. Was Gwyneth Paltrow's fault a cause of Terry Sanderson's harm? Oh, no, skip that.
There's just no response there.
Okay. Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes. Was Terry Sanderson's fault a cause Gwyneth Paltrow's... Did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes. Comparative fault. What % of the fault do you assign to Terry Sanderson? 100%. Damages. What amount fairly compensates Gwyneth Paltrow for economic damages? $1. Signed March 30th, 2023.
I love how if you listen closely, you can hear a subtle whisper when she says awarded like $1 in damages. Someone goes, nice. Which is fucking cute, I guess. Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow won the case. Shocker. If you watch this unfold, I think you knew this was coming. This was one hell of a trial. Like, wowee. What a ball game. Now, don't be upset, Terry Sanderson fans. After the trial concluded, he was interviewed outside, and he was in very high spirits. He was even asked about a reality TV show, if he'd be open to something like that. Which, of course, being the humble, not narcissistic gentleman that he is, he said, oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'll do a reality TV show. No way. Get out of town. But I'm not too sure. We might see more of Terry Sanderson in the limelight after this whole debacle here. But anyway, I just wanted to give a little update to all of this because this was so silly. This was so fucking silly. And yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Today there were a handful of moments that went viral on Twitter from the Young Thug trial that's ongoing. And I really want to talk about them. I need to make it clear right away. I know next to nothing about the Young Thug trial. I don't know what the particulars of the case are, what he's being accused of, what he's potentially facing. I don't really have a clue, but you don't need to know the lore behind why the trial is happening to understand why these moments are so wacky. I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you what I believe is potentially one of the biggest head-scratcher moments the American justice system has ever heard.
Regardless is less than 1% of this whole indictment. This reminds me of this anime named Bleach, where it's 16 seasons. Every episode is about 18, 20 episodes. Sorry, every season is 18 to 20 episodes. And they have season 4 and 5. They have these bouts. They're villains of the whole thing in season 4 and season 5. The main characters are trying to get them out of soul society.
Pardon the interruption. I'm not trying to jump scare you here, nor am I trying to intrude on this passionate speech about the Bount arc from Bleach, but I think it's important because I imagine most of you haven't seen what she's referring to, and God bless you, keep it that way. The Bount arc in Bleach is regarded by many, myself included, as one of the worst arcs in all of anime. It's basically about vampires that get introduced out of nowhere and then leave out of nowhere, never to be addressed again. It is a garbage filler arc that serves only to waste your time and insult your intelligence. It is truly trash. And I'm one of those poor souls that endured the torture of watching it. I didn't know the Bount arc was filler. So I subjected myself to that almost never-ending nightmare. So when she brought up the Bount arc here, it was like an old wound reopening and then having salt poured in it. I had a repressed memory come forefront and then like post-traumatic stress disorder as a result because she brought up the Bount arc in this fucking trial for some reason. Now, she is representing someone else who is involved in this case. His name is Rodalius Ryan, and the way she's trying to weave in the anime reference with the point she's trying to make is interesting.
You go to season 6, you don't hear about the bounce. You go to season 7, you don't hear about the bounce. Why don't you hear about these important characters? Because they're filler characters. It's a filler season. Me and Rodalius, we're fillers. We're not integral to the story. They just drag him out of prison to jail to make this bigger than it has to be. We're basically distractions. So, as a juror, what can you do to tell the state we're not going to be distracted? We don't need to listen to filler. You come back at the end of this with a not guilty for Rodalius Ryan. You tell them we do not want to waste our time on fillers. We just want to get to substance. So I guess sit back, enjoy the show, get some popcorn, because this is not justice, this is a circus. Thank you.
I find that closing remark, "this isn't justice, this is a circus," hits even harder since it follows an entire speech about anime in a legal setting. Like, she isn't wrong. This is set the dial from serious all the way to silly. We have cranked that shit up now. We're talking anime. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is how I imagine a Discord trial might go. You have Judge Wumpus presiding over a case, slamming the gavel. Order! Order! Huh. Interesting. Tipping a fedora. This reminds me of that time in Naruto when Rock Lee took off those training weights against Gaara. Am I right? Isn't that right, jury? Like, it's just... It is taken anime and put it in a setting where it shouldn't be. This is a very professional spot that deals with people's lives. Like, you're there to represent your client, and you're using anime in your opening statements here, I think is probably the wrong move here on the chessboard. Not the strongest opening. Based on how she sums up her opening statements, it seems like the point she's trying to get across is that her client is not important in the overall case, thus their presence is only there to serve as a distraction or inflating everything. Thus, it's filler, like Bleach Bount arc. Now, for the next clip I'd like to show you, you're going to have to really open up your ears here because the audio on it is some dog ass. It's pretty bad. For some reason, quite a few times throughout the trial, the audio would just get really fucked up.
But to Jeffrey, thug had a different meaning. Now, some of you read books about Tupac and what it meant to be thug life. Thug life, the hate you give little infants, F's, everyone. Meaning discrimination and racism hurts all of us. We teach that to our kids.
Now, this is Young Thug's lawyer, and right now he is trying to get into the kitchen with a ton of ingredients and start cooking. And the recipe that he's following, Well, it's got some interesting flavor to it, to say the least, with the direction that this dish ends up going.
That was not what Thug meant to Jeffrey. Thug meant and means to Jeffrey something very personal. It was his pact that if he could ever make it as a musical artist and help his family, himself, and his many others out of this endless cycle of hopelessness, he would be truly humble under God. That's what Thug means.
I tried my best to edit out the long pauses he takes. I don't know if he's like a classically trained actor or something, or he's auditioning for a thespian troupe. I don't really know. But he takes these like long, really dramatic pauses mid-sentence, and it just dragged everything so long. My theory is that the reason he keeps pausing and stopping for a little bit is because he's stalling for time so he can continue to come up with something in his noodle up here, and he eventually comes up with a banger. He ties it into... This is not what Thug actually means to Jeffrey, Jeffrey being Young Thug's real name. He then says the Thug stands for truly humbled under God. And when I heard him say that, I did one of these. I actually just shot back. I was like, wow, he fucking did it. He pulled off a miracle. Like, I could imagine, like, the jury standing up and clapping like, man, that was so moving, wiping tears from their eyes. Truly humbled under God. Now it all makes sense. Like, it's such an incredible Hail Mary play from the lawyer here. Obviously, this is a bunch of fish paste. That is... The Thug in Young Thug doesn't stand for anything. It's not an abbreviation. That wouldn't make any sense. Let's just play ball with this idea here, this fantasy that it stands for truly humbled under God. That would mean his name would be Young Truly Humbled Under God. That would be his artist name. That is nonsensical. But it was a really interesting tactic here, a very odd strategy that I couldn't help but appreciate. Like, I found it impressive. To go to this level of, like, on-the-spot thinking to try and just pull something out of your ass is admirable. I unironically love that strategy. I think it's just a banger. It makes me want to give it a try. Like, the moist on my shirt, it stands for Mopey Outlook is super terrible. And it's all about having a mopey attitude is a bad thing, and we gotta turn that frown upside down. It's all about a positive outlook, baby. And actually, that's a perfect segue into another thing Young Thug's lawyer tried to pull off in the trial today. It's another very incredible strategy.
And the indictment that the prosecution had the grand jury return says he's holding up a blood sign, and that furthers this conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with holding up a blood sign, but that's not a blood sign. A blood sign's like this. It looks like a B. That is a P. Jeffrey's fingers are down. And what you'll learn is that Jeffrey just released with Sergio Kitchens, performed on Gunna, a song that is wildly popular. It's around the globe. It's called Pushing P. And it's positivity. It means any circumstance you're in, if you think positively about something, you can make it through. You're pushing positivity. You're pushing P. Jeffrey is showing the P.
If ever there was a time for a standing ovation in court, it would be right then. This guy, in front of all of humanity and God, went out there and said, actually, what you're looking at is a P with his hands, and it references pushing P, which stands for pushing positivity. That is so good. That is so fun. What a fucking W. Like, I'm sure most of you remember pushing P from like a year or so ago. I never fully understood exactly what it meant. I believe, like, the main usage was pushing P references, like, pursuing success while still maintaining integrity, like being loyal to the people that you care about, that you're close with, like your friends, like never forgetting where you came from while pursuing success. Which, I guess in a way, you could argue that pushing P is pushing positivity, I suppose, though I don't think the P ever stood for positivity, ever. But from this point forward, if I ever see pushing P again, that's immediately where my head's going. from now on, if I see Pushing P, I'll be like, oh, pushing positivity. I get it. All because of this lawyer. I don't know how these interesting strategies will pan out in court for Young Thug and everyone else on trial. I don't know anything about the case. All I know is that these clips from today's trial are really interesting, to say the least. I just had to share them. I had to talk about them a little bit. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. That's really about it. See ya. Right now, Gwyneth Paltrow is locked in a legal battle that I think has to be the most unhinged court case I have ever had the privilege of watching live. It's such a blessing. It really feels like this is a parody of the legal system, like it's some kind of old college humor skit about how court works, because I just can't believe this is real. Like, watching this Gwyneth Paltrow court case is like experiencing an episode of Psychosis without ever doing any kind of drugs or anything. It's baffling. Before even getting into the actual specifics of it, I just want to, lay the groundwork real quick. She's getting sued by someone named Terry over a ski incident that happened in 2016 where Terry's claiming she ran into him and caused a brain injury as well as other injuries and is seeking damages from that. And Gwyneth Paltrow is saying, no, she's wiggling her finger and saying, that's not what happened, Terry hit me. So now she's countersuing for $1. She's looking for $1 in damages as a result of all of this. So already the case itself is delivering on the goofiness, but what elevates this and brings it to a higher level and turns that dial from goofy, blowing all the way past wacky, and even teetering on silly, is the fact that the two lawyers that are representing them feel like they've never practiced law in their entire life. I wouldn't be surprised to learn this is their first case, or that this is all just one big publicity stunt and these are two actors pretending to be lawyers.
This is about 11. She hears, suddenly she sees, and a man comes up right behind her. It's like they begin falling to the right, and he hits down side and his head, and so she's pulling. Now, he's like, I know the whole thing. Younger woman, not younger, young. Does that say said? I can't read it.
Now, I know it's not exactly fair to do a little supercut here of his explanation of the situation, but if you just watch the whole thing, it's not much clearer. It really feels like he's trying to recall a nightmare he had after taking NyQuil. Like, he's just trying to recall this dream, and he's not getting it across clearly. Like, even my cat was confused. Like, she came in here and jumped up while I was watching this live, and must have overheard some of his explanation, and then immediately just got the fuck away and went over there, and it's been hanging out ever since. The thing is, like, he's presenting like he's nervous. He's actually delivering his side of the situation like I would deliver a class project back in college, where I'm presenting to the class and I've got the butterflies in my tummy, so I'm fumbling all my words, I can't get any of my thoughts out clearly. Like, it just does seem that he has a problem with public speaking, which I've never really seen from a lawyer before. And it's not like his opposing lawyer, his opponent here in this legal combat, is any better. In fact, she seems like she's just more of a fangirl of Gwyneth Paltrow, and all of her questions are just kind of conversation starters for small talk between them. And keep in mind, this lawyer is representing Terry, so she's supposed to be grilling Gwyneth Paltrow and trying to, like, prove that Terry's the one that's telling the truth and he deserves to win the case. But when I listen to her statements, it really just feels like she's, like, internally freaking out because she's getting to meet and talk with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's so weird.
Good friends with Taylor Swift?
No.
Overruled?
You're not good friends with Taylor Swift.
I would not say we're good friends. We are friendly. I've taken my kids to one of her concerts before, but we don't talk very often.
You've never given Miss Swift personal, intimate gifts for Christmas?
Your Honor. Relevance, or I would like a bench trial?
Well, she's just said that she wasn't friends with her, so I'm inquiring on that.
I was half expecting this lawyer to then turn around and say, if you give me some free Taylor Swift tickets, I'll go ahead and drop this whole case right now and throw Terry to the fucking wolves here. Like, these interactions don't lead to anything. I tried to get the context on what the fuck the thought process here even was with bringing up Taylor Swift out of the blue. And it's apparently because Taylor Swift also did some kind of lawsuit for like $1 in damages as a countersuit back in like 2017 or some shit. But it's still completely irrelevant to the whole case here. It doesn't really serve a purpose to try and establish a connection between Gwyneth Paltrow and Taylor Swift, because that has nothing to do with getting to the bottom of this ski incident and who's at fault and who should be awarded the damages. Now, while we don't know who's fully at fault for the ski incident right now, I do know that you're at fault for bad fashion choices if you decide to miss out on the new Moist Global Swamp Core line. It's our new swamp wear, very Duck Dynasty-esque, beautiful garbs. Every time the lawyers ask questions, it just reminds me of that scene from Godzilla 2014 where he says, "Let them fight," referring to the kaijus. But instead of it being giant monsters here, it's giant fucking weirdos. Everyone involved in this case is weird. You all know I'm not a big fan of Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop in particular. I think Goop is downright dangerous at times and at best extremely stupid. In fact, I'm surprised she hasn't gone to trial for her scam of a candle, "This Smells Like My Vagina." I made a whole review on that candle, and I promise you, no vagina has ever smelled like that candle. It was fraudulent. It was misleading advertisement. It was completely false. It did not smell like her vagina, and I'm very confident. In fact, I might even go for a lawsuit to see if they can put Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy on the stand so we can all smell it and compare it to her candle, but that's a can of worms for a different day. Point is, I'm not a Gwyneth Paltrow fan, and Terry went on the stand today, and after hearing him, I'm certainly not a Terry fan. I don't know who's at fault here. Gwyneth Paltrow moves around and acts like an evil rich supervillain, so I definitely do think there's a chance that she is the one that just blasted Terry because she's not good at skiing and then had no empathy and left him there. That's super possible, but I also think it's equally possible that Terry is a shitty skier and a pathological liar who has been chasing this potential bag for 7 years, because originally he was seeking $3.1 million in damages, but it got thrown out due to them ruling it wasn't a hit and run, so he came back and is doing it again, but this time for a lower amount of $300,000 in damages. So it really feels like both people are fucking weird. But before showing you Terry, I want to show you one more best of moment from Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer, who tries to see if they can bring in treats for the bailiffs.
This private security for my client wanted to bring in treats for the bailiffs for how helpful they've been. So I wanted to do that transparently and see if there are any objections.
We object. We object. Okay. There's an objection.
Okay, so I will let them know.
Let them know thank you, but no thank you.
I mean, he should have asked us first, frankly.
It hasn't been done.
I know, he should have asked us first. We can talk about it, but he just sprung it on us now. So we object.
What'd you find out about the jury?
This guy actually feels like a camp counselor and they're on a school field trip or something. Like, holy shit. So the treats were shot down. They put the kibosh on that. But they were open to negotiate. In fact, they get into a little bit of a tiff, a slight argument about, well, if you had only, asked us before and discussed it, I mean, maybe we could have all had treats together, maybe even a little pizza party. I mean, you didn't really give us notice. You sprung it up out of nowhere. You ambushed us with it. So, nope, not anymore. Now none of us get to enjoy any of these baked goods.
You were asked about the press conference and referring to Miss Paltrow as King Kong. Were you referring to her as King Kong or the noise that you heard?
That's leading, Your Honor.
What did King Kong refer to?
I got to watch this whole segment unfold live, and my god, what a treat. So right now the line of questioning is about King Kong and explaining why he said King Kong. And this is Terry's response.
my apologies to Ms. Paltrow, because my intention got twisted up in my intentions and was to say it sounded like a lady getting chased by King Kong out of the jungle. It was that kind of I'm really scared.
He clarifies that the sound he was hearing reminded him of a woman being chased by King Kong out of the jungle. So that cleared all of that up, luckily. Another question that I feel gets pretty much fucking nowhere.
There was some testimony from Miss Paltrow again that she was hit in the back by a very large man, or that there was a very large man. Could you just step down for just a moment? Terry, do you... No, right here. Right here. Do you consider yourself a very large man?
Many times I wish I was, but no. Definitely on the small side of most people.
Finally, real evidence to poke holes in Gwyneth Paltrow's story. She said, apparently, that she was hit from behind by a large man. So, in order to prove that this is a false claim, she brings Terry out to just embarrass him, like, he is not a large man, this is a small man. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a manlet. It just puts him on blast like that. Terry, my brother, I am also on the small side. I'm 5'6". If someone called me out to prove a point that there's no way this whole case is real because Charlie is too fucking short to fit this definition, he's too much of a goddamn hobbit for this to be true, I would have just said, it's not worth it, please. The shame is too much for me to bear. Just let that claim be accurate. Let the large man claim stick. That's fine. We can fight on every other point. Please let the large man stay in the record as truthful. Don't fucking have the jury point and laugh at me because I'm short. Like, good lord, this was... I mean, I understand what the thought process was here, like, trying to prove that, you know, she can't be a reliable source of information since she says it was a large man that hit her and Terry's not that big, but I mean, holy shit, it's still a wild thing to watch unfold like this.
You've been here for a number of days, you've heard all the doctors testify, your entire life has now been broadcast to the world.
I feel like I've been fleshed out, and anyone up here I think would feel the same way. Very painful.
In fact, I think you just told me back there, well, I could never go on another dating site again.
Objection. Terry can go on any dating site he wants. Sustained. Again, this is just simply a line of questioning maybe I'm too dumb to understand. What does this have to do with anything? It's a public trial, so of course, on both sides, a ton of information is going to come to light to the public. So, I'm unsure of where this was supposed to lead. Maybe it was supposed to make people feel, like, bad for Terry, like, on the stand, like, oh man, you know, this guy, he's had his whole life laid out in front of everyone now, you know, I guess? I'm not really sure, but it just doesn't really seem super pertinent to the actual issue here.
Yeah, I'm classifying it as an insult, but it's absolutely ignoring me, ignorance. And that's what it felt like. It's like, what is going on here? This is obviously an issue that someone needs to be accountable for. And if they're never accountable, what are they going to do? They're going to do it again. Now we have the molesting of young children on an island.
Your Honor,
denial.
This is ridiculous testimony. He's talking about...
Aimed as to relevance, the last part, the jury should disregard.
Now you can see things going a little off the rails here. So the question that brought this section up was, is the lawsuit important to you? Which again is one of those fucking galaxy brain questions, those chess master moves I can't quite process, because fucking obviously the lawsuit's important. He's been pursuing it for years now. I mean, Jesus Christ, clearly it's important. And it led to this situation where he's saying if he doesn't do something, it's just going to happen again, and then it leads to the molesting of children on an island. So that's a lot to take in right there. That's a lot to digest. I think he's talking about the Epstein Island and the Epstein book. I don't know if Gwyneth Paltrow's name was in Epstein's flight logs on his lists, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if it was. Half of Hollywood was taking trips to Epstein's Island. Bunch of goddamn evil freaks. But I don't understand exactly how we got to that point in this case here. And I also like the statement preceding it that if he didn't sue Gwyneth Paltrow for this, she'd do it again. As if, like, she's just this absolutely rambunctious villain on the slopes out there that is constantly running into people out there like a fucking pinball. Just actually bulldozing everyone she can, and it's up to Terry to stop her. Put an end to her reign of tyranny on those slopes because she just keeps hitting people. It's as you can see, this whole case, this whole trial is wild.
You've said you've shrunk and lost weight since the incident, right?
Well, I ballooned.
Now, when we stand you up, you've lost like 15 pounds and shrunk 3 inches, right? Yes or no?
I had no idea. I guess yes. I was
just a few days ago. You said I was 175 to 80 and 5'8". Remember?
I said that not here. Oh, you know what?
In this very trial.
Overruled.
I know why I said that. It's because the VA records weighs you with all your clothes and everything on it. And I knew that's what you were reading, was what
clothes
the VA
don't
reported.
give you 3 inches. You with me?
Heels do.
Did you have heels on?
No, not at all.
All right.
Now the tables have turned again. Phoenix Wright is back, and he's grilling him on a potential lie here, stating that he had said that he was heavier and taller than he actually is, and says that you stated that you were 5'8", but as we've seen today, you're closer to 5'5". How did you lose 3 inches so quickly? That doesn't make any sense. It's not like you set the height setting from Wumbo to Mini, so what the fuck is going on here? This seems like a lie. And that's kind of the line of question he's going down. The whole thing is just such a weird trial. Like, I feel like half the time they're not even focused on the actual skiing incident. It just goes in all of these completely different directions that you'll never see coming. These plot twists in this trial are wild. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I got to watch a good chunk of it today. And it's something special. So yeah, I just wanted to go over it a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. Heard about the guy suing Dunkin' Donuts because their toilet exploded while he was shitting on it? Yeah, there's no video or anything. I also just feel like he's lying. He probably pooped himself and came up with a convenient excuse and then overflowed the toilet is my guess. But here, I'll pull it up since a lot of people keep asking about it. That's my theory, at least. Last I saw, there was no actual evidence of a toilet explosion. Florida man is seeking $50,000 in damages after he said a toilet at Dunkin' exploded and covered him in debris, feces, and urine. He alleges he visited the men's room at Winter Park Dunkin' outside of Orlando on January 6, 2022. The commode erupted, leaving the plaintiff in the loo covered in its contents. That's a really sophisticated way of describing a toilet blowing up. After the incident, the plaintiff said he sought help from employees who told him they were aware of the issues as prior incidents had occurred. How often is this toilet exploding? It's like an active volcano? You can't even just maybe put a sign up saying out of service? He's seeking $50,000 in damages from HZO Donuts, operating as Dunkin' location, formerly known as Dunkin' Donuts, on account of their alleged negligence, according to the lawsuit filed by the attorney. As a direct result of the defendant's breach and/or multiple breaches of its duties and obligations to the plaintiff, who was lawfully on defendant's premises, plaintiff unwittingly became the victim of the exploding toilet in the aftermath, which followed and sustained damages, including injuries, emotional, and mental distress. There'd have to be pictures, right? Prior incidents. That was surprising to hear, but again, I don't think it's actually an exploding toilet. Like, I don't think the porcelain, exploded like a fragmentation grenade going off. Like, it didn't just have this... I don't think it was like a halo explosion when you throw a frag, is what I'm saying. Like, it maybe, like, some water bubbled over and maybe covered his butt a bit, is my guess. Because I just can't imagine, like, all of a sudden it would be like a bomb. I'm going to see if there's any photos of it. Even in the initial lawsuit, the lawsuit's all public right here. Even in the lawsuit, there's no Exhibit A or anything. Like, surely you'd take a picture. Or, even better, there'd be CCTV footage from the cameras in Dunkin', so we could see him covered in poop. But maybe he put in a junction to bar that from the evidence because it's embarrassing, perhaps. But if it really did explode, then may God have mercy. Hope he wins. He claims he suffered bodily injury. Well, he could have. Having a bunch of strangers' waste cover you could make you sick. Or if, like, the debris he's referring to is parts of the toilet hitting you that could hurt. Maybe bruise you. Apparently in the lawsuit, he said the incident made him experience a loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life. Okay, I've got to pull up the lawsuit myself here because it's all public. Let's see. That is I mean, if you get covered in a Dunkin' Donuts exploded toilet, maybe you would lose all enjoyment in life. Let's see where it would be. Plaintiff requires mental health care and counseling as a direct result of the trauma experienced in the restroom at defendant's business and from the continuing trauma following the event. Oh. As a direct and proximate result of the negligence of defendant, plaintiff suffered bodily injury and psychological damages resulting in pain and suffering, disability, permanent and significant emotional injury, mental anguish, loss of the capacity for the enjoyment of life, expense of medical care and treatment. The injuries and damages are either permanent or continuing in nature, and plaintiff will suffer losses in the future. Man, with a statement like that, why are you suing for only $50K? Go for fucking $50 million. The loss of the enjoyment of life. Maybe the ceramic shattered into his sensitive areas. Well, that's what I was saying. If pieces of... There's no pictures of the toilet explosion, but the way they describe it actually makes it sound like a missile. So if there were parts of the toilet that started blasting him, then yeah, I guess that could cause, like, disability or a permanent injury. No, this isn't the Epstein stuff. This is a poopy toilet explosion stuff. Bro's gonna be having nightmares specifically about the Dunkin' Donuts toilet. According to the lawsuit, he's having a lot more than just nightmares. I really wish there was footage, well, not footage, a picture of the aftermath. I want to know what a toilet explosion looks like at Dunkin' Donuts here. Like, that can't be common. Oh, here's the exploding toilet meme. I guess it could be like this. But I think this was planned, right? It didn't just happen. Like, they put firecrackers or something in it, if I remember correctly. So I don't think the Dunkin' employees pranked him.
A certain brand of toilet has been exploding, and it's no laughing matter.
You don't think about your children dying in the bathroom.
Find out if you're sitting on a time bomb, tonight at 10.
Whoa. I did not expect that. That was hard-hitting journalism right there. That got me hooked. This was 7 years ago. Did we survive? Did we make it out? Is the toilet defeated? Or is it still in circulation? How often do toilets explode spontaneously?
Ow. There's one there. You see, it blew it completely off, and you see all the shrapnel, the sharp pieces of porcelain.
Pictures, reports, even you.
So this is like the tank, though. It's not the whole toilet itself.
After my son went to the restroom and
because my children sat on that toilet.
Flushmate manufactures the pressure vessel designed to flush so powerfully you don't have to flush twice. But the company recalled nearly.
That's a really cool statement. I feel like most toilets are designed to flush so you don't have to flush more than once. I don't think that's specific to just this brand. If you're flushing twice, then you had a big moment in there. You had a lot of business to take care of. I don't think that's super unique. Usually it doesn't try and get everything in waves. It's usually all at once.
3 million of the devices after getting reports of.
You'll never have to flush again in your life.
And 14
True.
injuries. People cause it to burst. But with a leak like this, he says it could have exploded in a public place with stronger water pressure.
Case in point, perhaps Paul, the Dunkin' Donuts poo-poo toilet exploding victim, was a victim of one of these. Maybe they had one of these toilets in the facility and that's what blew up. So maybe he wasn't like a geyser of feces and urine. Maybe he had just shit. This blew up. He panicked, and then, like, all these pieces start hitting the water and splashing poop and urine on him. Perhaps.
And I'm going to post the affected serial numbers on our website.
Maybe this just saves some people in chat's life. If you have one of these toilets, or maybe you should check if you have one of these toilets just in case. Imagine. There's one guy in chat right now profusely sweating. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Wait, I have one of those. I don't have a low flow device. I don't have a low flow toilet. Oh, God. It's sprinting to the bathroom, but he doesn't get there in time, and it just blows up. He's sent back from the shockwave. You can get $18 million, though. Oh, from the class action. So, I mean, I guess maybe this is plausible for what happened to Paul here. But I don't think it would cover you in the contents of it. Not based on those explosions, since it was in, like, the tank. Either way, interesting case. Good luck, Paul. I hope you win. I don't think that's what happened because employees said it happened to other customers before. Oh, good point. Yeah, that theory wouldn't work because apparently the employees said that other customers had experienced something similar. Like, it wasn't the first time. You're right. Why didn't the other customers sue? Probably too tired. Maybe first thing in the morning. They went to Dunkin', got covered in poop, and they're like, whatever. I'm going home. I have no idea. I don't know how this happens more than once. There's another Florida toilet explosion from 2019 after a woman's toilet blew up after lightning struck her septic after lightning struck her septic tank, sparking the methane gas inside and blowing the toilet up into pieces. That is a sign. That is absolutely some kind of divine moment, a smiting, if you will.
Got hit by lightning, causing a toilet to explode over the weekend. Experts say the explosion was
Jeepers.
all part of a dangerous reaction. CBS 4 News
Zoinks.
has the details.
Because it just boom.
Mary Lou Ward of Gulf Cove grateful no one was sitting.
Yeah, it really blew that bitch up.
To hundreds of pieces Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The porcelain is very...
I've been more into lawsuits than Saul Goodman recently. I've become such a huge lawsuit enthusiast over the last, 6 or so months. Not me, issuing lawsuits. I've still never done that. Though, with all the stories I've read, that could be a very interesting branch of content, just frivolously filing lawsuits to see how it goes, I guess. Because apparently no one ever gets punished for doing that. Best example is the classic, silly Billy Mitchell, the video game player of the century who files a new lawsuit anytime someone makes a joke about him being a cheater. And I'm not using the word allegedly, Billy. You are a scumbag cheater, and I hope you lose all of your ongoing lawsuits, brother. But anyway, enough bravado here and lat spreading on Billy Mitchell, celebrating every single L that he keeps taking, and will most likely continue to keep taking. Let's focus on what I want to talk about. I have really enjoyed diving into the most outrageous, most unhinged lawsuits imaginable. And last night, I found the magnum opus. This is the craziest lawsuit I've ever even been made aware of. There was a lawsuit I covered a couple years ago where there was a Twitch viewer who was suing Twitch because they were showing him female streamers and he couldn't stop jerking off, so he was suing for millions of dollars worth of damages, claiming it's immoral that Twitch would have these, female streamers doing suggestive things and it forces him to masturbate or whatever. And that, to me, for a while, was probably one of the most entertainingly awful lawsuits I'd read about. But what I read last night actually beats it. A man in Australia filed a lawsuit against a hospital for $1 billion Australian dollars, which converts to about 643 million freedom bucks. And the reason he was suing this hospital is because he watched his wife give birth. He believed that what he had witnessed there was basically a war crime, like a violation of his human rights and a complete failure on that hospital's duty of care to him to make sure that he didn't see that. He was upset because the hospital not only allowed him to watch his wife's birth via C-section, but also encouraged it. Which to me doesn't sound like anything weird from the hospital. I mean, they call it the miracle of childbirth for a reason. Plus, if he wasn't allowed to watch it, I feel like that would be a huge problem. Being denied access to your wife during the most important moment of your relationship, I imagine would actually be grounds for a lawsuit. Most people, I would imagine, would want to be there with their partner to comfort and be able to take part in the gift of life, I guess. But this guy believed that they should have, like, shielded his eyes and plugged his ears or something, and the fact that they didn't caused him psychotic illness. And he believes he's entitled to at least $1 billion Australian dollars in damages. Did you hear about the man suing a hospital for $642 million after watching his wife's C-section and said it gave him a psychotic illness? You've got my attention. You undersold this. He's actually suing the hospital for $643 million. Man tries to sue a hospital for $643 million after he was encouraged to watch his wife's C-section. A man in Australia accused a hospital in Melbourne of causing him to develop a psychotic illness after he watched his wife undergo a cesarean section. Interesting. 643 million clams. Anil Coppola tried to sue the Royal Women's Hospital for letting him watch his wife's birth via C-section in 2018. He unsuccessfully sought 1 billion Australian dollars, which is 643 million. A judgment on the lawsuit filed in the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne last week shows. How could this have not worked? What went wrong? Mr. Coppola's wife that day had a healthy baby delivered by cesarean section. Mr. Coppola alleges that he was encouraged or permitted to observe the delivery, that in the course of doing so he saw his wife's internal organs and blood, and that the experience caused the onset of a psychotic illness. He says the hospital breached the duty of care it owed to him and is liable to pay him damages. The hospital admits that it owed to him a duty of care, but denied that it breached it and does not accept that he suffered any injury. In his amended statement of the claim on October 22nd, Mr. Coppola, who is self-represented, that sounds about right. That tracks. Assessed his damages for psychological injury at $1 billion. Isn't this so cringe? The human body is so cringe that C-sections are pretty common because we're not developed enough, we haven't evolved enough to make birthing efficient. So oftentimes they have to deliver the baby through the stomach. Evolution just is... It's got to catch up. We've got to redefine the meta. Birthing should be like the most efficient thing humans are good at. It's like the whole purpose of being an organism. To reproduce. I was just talking to my mom about that. That is an interesting conversation to have with your mom, but yeah, it is a fascinating anomaly why we haven't evolved to be better at it. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 32.1% of all baby deliveries in the U.S. in 2021 were cesarean section. Wow. Coppola filed the lawsuit several years after the operation, saying it caused the onset of a psychotic illness that led to a breakdown of his marriage. Yeah, that was the reason. The reason me and my wife broke up is because I had to watch her get a C-section and I've never been the same. I couldn't look at her the same way. She grossed me out. It was so fucking yucky. I hated her for it. And I hated the hospital for making me see her like that. I've seen her inside and out. Yeah, stared into the abyss. Coppola chose to represent himself in court, where Justice James Gorton dismissed the suit and deemed the claim an abuse of process. I would agree with that. Did he give him like a big speech like, listen, goofball, this is ridiculous. Go home. Get out of my court. If men could birth, would you rather birth an NFL football out of your brown eye or a U.S. quarter out of your one eye? What a philosophical inquiry. I don't know. If I could, if I had to give birth right now and I got to choose, I'd probably try and do it like Majin Buu. So I'd vomit up the creature. I'd really rather not tear my whole ass out or anything like that. That's Piccolo. No, Majin Buu did that too, right? When he vomited out into Super Buu? Or am I misremembering? The trial proceedings included a medical examination of Coppola, with the panel concluding the degree of psychiatric impairment did not satisfy the threshold level, according to the judgment. Lawsuits that are seeking damage for non-economic losses, such as this one, require that an injury is significant, the judgment said. With regards to the medical panel's conclusion, Coppola said he disagreed with it, though the judgment said he was unable to agitate the correctness of it. I can't believe he didn't get $1 billion out of this. because he watched his wife's C-section and then they got a divorce 3 years later. I want to see if this was televised. I'd love to see how he defended himself. Unfortunately, no footage exists of how this panned out, but man, I would really like to hear some of his arguments. No, listen, Your Honor, you don't understand. A baby came out from her tummy. I can't sleep anymore. I can't even look at her anymore. It's why our marriage fell apart, damn it. It's the hospital's fault for letting me see such a thing. I also love the confidence and delusion to ask for $1 billion from this. Our marriage was so good, Your Honor, you don't understand. It was worth at least $1 billion in order to make up for all of this hardship. I can't believe this. How could they be so cruel to let me see my child being born? No, damn you. Now, obviously, I think this is one of those cases where someone knows that it's ridiculous, but they try anyway and hope to settle out of court. So they go for like this alarmingly huge number and then try and like negotiate behind closed doors to just squash it. But with something this outlandish, that was never even in the cards. This is such a bogus baloney claim that it never even made it anywhere and never stood a chance either. I think there is a 0% chance that this guy is permanently scarred for life after watching his wife give birth. Like, I understand C-sections are a little scary. Like, I know what they are. Now, granted, I've never seen one in person, so maybe it's different in the Thunderdome. Maybe I'd see it and also just have a full-blown breakdown, my universe crumbles around me and it fucks me up for life. But even in that case, I still don't think I'd ever win a case for $1 billion because of that. I think that's a hard sell right there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit because this one had me giggling. This is probably this has to be among the largest asks for a lawsuit based on legitimately nothing. So yeah, just wanted to talk about this a bit. That's it. So yeah. All right, let's read about this Casetify stuff. Dbrand is suing Casetify for ripping off its teardown designs. Dbrand claims it caught Casetify using its transparent style designs in its own line of device cases. Dbrand, the device skin company known for trolling brands like Sony and Nintendo, is waging a legal battle of its own. The company suing rival Casetify over claims it blatantly copied Dbrand's teardown device skins and cases, which are made to look like the internals of whatever phone, tablet, or laptop you've purchased from them. It's also introducing some new X-ray skins on the same day it's revealing the lawsuit. I'm not a huge phone case guy, so I don't know these names. Let me look up Dbrand real quick. Let me see their work. They must be pretty big, right? Dbrand's pretty massive, and I'm guessing Casetify's like the big boy. Showing the Dbrand Easter eggs Dbrand hid inside their design that was stolen by Casetify. Oh, so they planted little landmines, little gotchas in there. Ooh, that's very interesting then. So they caught him red-handed. It's on Dbrand's Twitter. Okay, let me pull that up then. Dbrand first revealed its teardown products in 2019 in partnership with Jerry Rig Everything, a YouTuber who breaks down new devices and sometimes even gives them transparent mods. The teardown skins and cases make it look as if you've taken your entire device apart and slapped on a transparent backing, when in reality, it's just a vinyl decal or a case you slot your phone into. It's a cool design. I think that's nice. Casetify allegedly took all of this work to use on its own phone cases. It all started when Casetify launched a similar line of phone cases called Inside Parts. Very uninspired. Teardown is a much better name. That is lame as fuck. Inside Parts? They spent 2 minutes on that. You could have come up with something so much cooler. Maybe like innards? Bowels is stupid. That's really dumb. But something better than Inside Parts, for sure. Big thanks to Displate for sponsoring today's video. Displate is one-of-a-kind metal posters that are designed to capture your unique passions. So you can see Matt fanning through a couple of them behind me. They look extraordinary. So they're durable, magnet-mounted, sturdy, they can withstand a lifetime of staring, they're super easy to set up and mount, and you can customize them, you can collect them, you can rearrange them however you want. They have over 1 million designs available for everyone, including official designs from brands like some of the ones you're seeing behind me. There's just so many options, and again, you can customize them as well, which is always a lot of fun too. So it's all high quality designs printed onto the metal and hand signed by their master of production. They're unique, easy, and safe, and it only takes about 20 seconds. There's no need to drill anything into your walls. All you need to do is wipe the wall with a cleaning wipe, and then stick the protective leaf, place the magnet, and then put the disc plate on the wall. It's super easy, super quick. So if you're interested in getting some high quality disc plates for your office or any room in your house or anything, you can click the link in the description below. There's right now a Black Friday deal going on, so you can get 35% off 1 to 2 disc plates, 39% off 3 to 4 disc plates, or 44% off 5 or more disc plates. You can click the link in the description below for that deal, or use code MOIST at Discplate's website. Again, huge thanks for sponsoring. Which similarly puts an image of the components inside your phone on the outside. However, users noticed something wasn't quite right with the designs. In March, one user on X pointed out that Casetify appeared to be reusing the image of the same internals across different phone models, which means they didn't accurately represent the insides of each device they were sold for. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that probably just a coincidence. I'm sure that's easily explainable by Casetify. Piss puddlers unite. Fine Jesus, my friend. What the fuck is a piss puddler? This looks pretty hard to fight. Like, how do you even argue against this? It's just a direct rip of it. Hear me out. Maybe one lazy dev and not the company's intent. Nah, what? No, what? Absolutely not. In a company the size of Casetify, at least giving it the old eyeball test, I'm not familiar with phone case brands, like I said, I'm just learning about them. Casetify seems huge. You can't just have one guy, like, brute force through a design. That has to go through 1,000 different pipelines. Dbrand called out Casetify's apparent gaffe in a video posted on Twitter, which shows how Casetify seems to have recycled the same design across Apple, Samsung, Google devices with a mocking caption reading, "Inside parts." Did they also do the SpongeBob picture with it? Like, bent over and all of that? Just months after Dbrand posted its response to Casetify, the company came back with a new line of transparent style phone cases called Inside Out. This time, the images are consistent with the devices the cases are made for, and Dbrand claims that because Casetify stole its designs... Oh, and Dbrand claims that's because Casetify stole its designs. However, Dbrand alleges Casetify also attempted to conceal the copycats by rearranging parts of the design to make them look slightly different, which is what they just showed here, yeah? There's some pretty strong evidence backing up Dbrand's accusations. Dbrand spotted many Easter eggs it planted within its own designs on Casetify's Inside Out products. That includes the RO807 tag, which alludes to Dbrand's tagline as a brand run by robots, as well as the Jerry Rig Everything catchphrase, "Glass is glass and glass breaks." Oh, what the fuck? This is checkmate. This is like, this is over. This is a full-blown scholar's mate. There is absolutely no way of, like, disputing this anymore. It's just right there. There's even more. How many Easter eggs did they plant in here? Very cute, and it turned out to be a great decision. After scrutinizing the images of the cases on Casetify's website and even ordering some to confirm its suspicions, Dbrand discovered Casetify allegedly copied 117 different designs down to the many digital manipulations it made to the images. Dbrand says it holds registered copyrights for each of these products, all of which were registered before Casetify's launch. If Casetify had simply created their own teardown-esque design from scratch, we wouldn't have anything to take issue with, CEO Adam Ijaz tells The Verge. We're under no illusion that Dbrand owns the idea of taking apart phones and scanning them. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. The fact of the matter is that they repurposed our existing designs for their products, then went to great lengths to conceal their illegitimate appropriation of our work. That's why instead of issuing a cease and desist order, Dbrand is hitting Casetify with a federal lawsuit in Canadian court, where the company is based, seeking 8 figures in damages. It hasn't given Casetify any warning either, so you can see the case in question right now from the company's website and draw your own conclusions. Is there any other conclusion to draw? I can't think of a single argument why they would have why they would have Easter eggs from Dbrand in their work, and it being the exact same design just flipped around. Is it possible to draw another conclusion? I'll rephrase. Brain rot on Twitter. Is there a such thing as a Casetify enthusiast that is so rotted and blinded that they're defending it? With like an actual argument or no? So this is another one that dbrand posted. Exhibit A, the phrase glass is glass and glass breaks. This is a catchphrase coined by Teardown co-creator Zach Jerry-Rig. I'm assuming that's Jerry-Rig everything. This tagline does not exist on the internal hardware of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. They even have it lower resolution, so what must have happened is they just downloaded a JPEG of this and then like downloaded it 50 other times while like trying to fabricate it, and the compression just got fucked. So they got like the lowest quality JPEG of this that they put on their stuff. So there's another Easter egg that happens to be on their work. And another one, Exhibit B. Full montage here. The digits 1111, 1111, or the digits 111111, this is a reference to our founding date, November 11th, 2011. This date does not exist on the ribbon cable of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's products. No, that could be explained easily. Binary, perhaps. This may not correlate to a date. This may just be binary code. I could see a perfectly sound argument for that. Exhibit C is the RO807, which we already looked at. Exhibit D. Man, they have so many. This has got to be the most dead-to-right case I've ever seen. Exhibit D. The all-seeing eye. This is a symbol we often use as evidenced by both the favicon of our website and the dbrand pyramid PC built by Linus Tech. This symbol is not present on the battery of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. And again, it's like the lowest quality version of it. Literally looks like a 4-year-old scribbled it on. Where do they even... This one doesn't even look like they just downloaded it and fucked the compression over time. This one looks like they deliberately made it as hieroglyphic-esque as possible. But in that case, why even bother? You could have just not had it on there. They're literal screenshots. They even cropped some incorrectly. But how can you even get a screenshot to look this bad when you're transferring it onto the product? You'd have to really try to make it look this atrocious. Exhibit E. 1111 watt-hours. The 1111 watt-hours, this, again, a reference to our founding date. This erroneous watt-hour metric is not on the battery of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. I mean, you can't even defend it. They took photos of their monitor. Oh, wait, you might be right. That would explain this one. This one does actually look like they took a photo of their monitor while it's all glossy and shit, so you can't make it out super well. That would explain how they got this. Wonder why they would steal it? I think the reason would be obvious. It's a successful phone case, it seems. So they just capitalize off it, and then instead of doing any kind of R&D work to make like a comparable teardown, they just copy it. It feels like it'd take the same amount of effort. I don't know, man. I don't know what goes into like actual phone case making stuff. But this is like an almost $1 billion company, I think, Casetify, right? Surely this didn't save them too much on the bottom line. Let me see. Oh, $300 million in revenue last year for Casetify. Massive company. Absolutely massive. They probably didn't know it was patented. Brother, even if it wasn't patented, you still can't just blatantly rip off another company's design. That's like the biggest no-no ever. Like, you can't just infringe on shit like that. You can't patent an image. He meant copyright. I know what he meant. Did you ever stop to think that maybe they just made an oopsie? 117 oopsies from the sound of it. So, they might just be real quirky. Very clumsy. On their video, they said they spent around 10,000 hours making the cases. If you watch the videos, you can see a time lapse of them dotting the cases. In the Jerry Rig Everything video. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I said, I don't know what all goes into case making, but I can't imagine like it's a super easy process. dbrand and Jerry Rig Everything aren't the only people they stole designs from. There are already others coming out with their own cases. Look at Jerry's Twitter. Oh yeah, I can't imagine this is their first and only time. They just happen to fly a little too close to the sun with the blatant theft, and now they're getting caught. Yeah, I have no doubt they probably stole tons and tons of designs.